When The Mandalorian first arrived, it didn't just succeed, it saved Star Wars. At a time when the franchise was facing heavy criticism, divided fandom, and sequel fatigue, this simple story about a lone bounty hunter traveling the galaxy with a mysterious child did something no one expected. It united fans again. Grogu, instantly nicknamed Baby Yoda by the internet, became more than a character. He became a cultural icon. Merchandise sold out worldwide. Memes flooded social media. Even people who weren't Star Wars fans knew his face. And at the center of it all was Din Djarin, a masked warrior whose emotional journey proved that you don't need to see a face to feel a heart. So when Disney announced a theatrical film, The Mandalorian and Grogu, it sounded like the safest bet imaginable. A guaranteed hit, a fan-favorite duo, big screen scale, emotional storytelling. Everything was perfectly aligned. But then, things started to feel strange. Instead of fast-tracking the film with unstoppable confidence, Disney's approach felt cautious, almost hesitant. Reports suggested shifting priorities inside Lucasfilm. Other Star Wars films were announced, reshuffled, delayed, or quietly shelved. Directors came and went on separate projects. Release strategies kept evolving. And fans began asking, where does The Mandalorian and Grogu actually stand? Because logically, this should be Disney's crown jewel, the bridge between streaming success and theatrical revival. The project designed to bring Star Wars back to box office dominance. Yet, the marketing buildup felt quiet. Updates were limited. Information was carefully controlled. Compared to the explosive hype machine behind past Star Wars films, this rollout felt restrained. Some insiders hinted Disney was being careful. Others claimed the company was testing the waters after recent box office disappointments. And that's where the fear narrative began forming. Not fear of fans, fear of expectations. Because Grogu is, if everything was smooth behind the curtain, fans wouldn't be asking questions. But the deeper you look into the development of The Mandalorian and Grogu, the more mixed signals begin to appear. And it's those signals that have fueled the theory that Disney isn't as confident as they should be. First, there's the timing. Originally, Star Wars' future was mapped heavily around Disney Plus shows. Series like The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka were meant to build toward a larger cinematic crossover event. The movie announcement seemed like the natural next step, a graduation from streaming dominance to theatrical power. But instead of feeling like a long-planned cinematic evolution, the film felt like a strategic pivot, a reaction rather than a roadmap. Reports emerged that Disney wanted Star Wars back in theaters sooner rather than later, especially after years without a theatrical release. And among all available properties, The Mandalorian was the safest brand to lead that charge, which sounds positive on the surface, until you realize what that pressure creates. Rush transitions from TV to film have historically been risky. Television storytelling is structured differently. Slower arcs, episodic pacing, character moments spread across hours. Converting that into a 2-hour blockbuster demands compression, scale expansion, and narrative restructuring. Fans started wondering, was this story always meant to be a movie, or was it turned into one? Because Disney needed a box office win. Because if it's the second option, that introduces creative tension, balancing business urgency with storytelling integrity. Then came the production signals. Instead of overwhelming transparency, updates about the film were carefully measured. Casting confirmations, plot hints, and production details were released in controlled waves rather than celebratory bursts. For casual audiences, that means nothing. But for franchise watchers, marketing tone reveals. Ushered transitions from TV to film have historically been risky. Television storytelling is structured differently. Slower arcs, episodic pacing, character moments spread across hours. Converting that into a 2-hour blockbuster demands compression, scale expansion, and narrative restructuring. Fans started wondering, was this story always meant to be a movie? Or was it turned into one because Disney needed a box office win? Because if it's the second option, that introduces creative tension, balancing business urgency with storytelling integrity. Then came the production signals. Instead of overwhelming transparency, updates about the film were carefully measured. Casting confirmations, plot hints, and production details were released in controlled waves rather than